A very good morning to Puan Maziani. We are from Group 12 and we're gonna explain our code. First of all, my name is Joy Russell Jasny and I will be explaining the user-defined function. Next is Jordi Elba Osman and he will explain the main function. And as for Jiroi, she will explain the input-output sample test. Without further ado, let us start. First of all, we're gonna declare a constant global variable, and each of the variable represent the prices of each section. Next, we declare few function prototype here, and each of it has its own purposes. The first function is the void display room menu, and for this function, it's just for showing menu for room type and the rates. Second one is the display food rate function, and for this function, it's just for showing menu for meal rates. Next is the display surgery menu function. This function is just for showing menu for surgery type and respective rates. And next is the display pharmacy menu function. For this function is just for showing menu for medication type and respective rates. The next function is display service menu function. For this function, it is just for showing menu for service type and respective rates. Okay, next we're gonna look at the quest pharmacy function. This function is just to get the patient type of medication. So we're gonna ask them the type of medication and it will return the value to the main function. Next is the quest amount pharmacy function, and for this function is just to get the amount of medication. So when the patient patient already select the option at the menu, this function gonna return the value it. Next is the get pharmacy rate function, and for this function is to calculate the patient medication rate. Next is the quest service function, and for this function is to get the patient type of service. As you can see here, we set a restriction for the patient if they choose a wrong type of menu. Next is the quest amount service function, and for this function is just to get the patient amount of service. Next is the double get service rate function, and this function gonna calculate the patient service charges. So you can see here it will return the patient service charges. Next one is the get surgery rate function, and for this function is to calculate the to calculate the surgery rate of each patient. Next is the double total surgery rate function, and for this function is just to calculate the total amount of surgery rate for all patients. Excuse me. Next is the double host bill per function. For this function is to calculate the total charges for each patient. Next is the void highest bill function, and for this function is to find who got the highest amount of bill do need to pay. Next is the void lowest bill function. For this function is to find the lowest bill of among all the patient. Next is the total charge function. For this function, it's gonna calculate the total charges for all the patient. And the last one is the double every day admitted function. For this function, it's to get the number of day each patient is admitted in the hospital and the total day admitted by all the patient. Then this function gonna return the average day of patient got admitted. So that's all for me. Next, Jordi Elba Osman will explain the main function. Thank you.
So hello, today I'm going to talk about the main function. I'm going to explain a little bit more. And for the main function, we're going to declare first for int, which is all of this yes, and then for the average and the total day, we are going to set them to 0. And we want to be user friendly, so that's why we are using this one to welcoming display for the user. So but and now we're on our program, we are going to use array, and we just need to declare for this one int, the data type is int, and then the name of the data type is their room type, meal type, series type, and charges just for int. And then they use double for the data type for room rate, total pharmacy rate, and total service rate. And we're going to use string for IC number of patient, and HP num. So for this underline of 289, we are going to prompt admin to enter just the basic info for the patient, just like the name of the patient, the IC number of the patient, and the phone number of the patient. So next, at the line of 299, we're going to prompt admin to input the number of days admitted by the patient. Say if the patient stayed at for 2 days, so the patient will stay for will be input 2 here. And then we will going to display the room rates and their respective rates by calling the function, this one. So the system will ask, please choose room type for patient. So why we are using while? Because we want to ensure the room type input by user is within the range. So for an example, if the user input 5 on this particular coding, it will see out the room does not exist. So it will ask back the user to enter the room type for the patient again. It will continue. So this one we're going to just want to display the food thread, and then we're calling the function up there, and then the system will ask the user to choose meal option for patient. We are using while again because we want to ensure the meal type input by user is within the range. And this one also the same lah. So we just calling the function surgery menu, uh, and then we're going to use while again, same as the second and first one. And this one we display the pharmacy menu calling the function back, but this time we're going to use loop because in case of patient having more than one type of medication, we will consider the factor that maybe the patient have 2 medication or maybe even 3. So that's why you are going to use a loop for this. So this 4 and here is where the looping start. So the med type equal to request pharmacy medamon, and this is like this the stuff here to get the respective rates. And then same as this one, we using loop again, because just in case the patient maybe have one type of service, so that's why. And then this is where the process to get the total service rate. So, and lastly, we want to get the average admitted for all patients. So this is where the process starts. And then at the end of our program, we want to output back the patient basic info. So we're going to use this for, and then we're going to see out the part name, the IC number, the HP number, the day that there was admitted, and the average one. So thank you and have a nice day.
Good evening, madam. So now I'll be showing you after compiling our codes, it'll look like this. So this is our welcome message, and how many patients do you want to calculate the bills? I'll put 2. And now we'll have to input all their basic informations. So how many days patient 1 was admitted? I'll give it 2. 3 days, sorry. And now I have to choose the room types, food rates, types of surgery. Our assumption is that we assume all of the patients only undergoes one type of surgery during their stay in our hospital. So types of medication we have to choose. So I chose 1 for this patient, and please enter patient's type of medication. I'll give it number 3, which is liquid, and the amount will be 2. Types of services, I'll give it 2 types of services. So for the first one will be MRI scans, which is once, and laboratory test, which is twice. And now we'll have to do the same for patient number 2. Alright, after inputting their IC number and phone number, now I have to input the same thing, which is how many days this patient was admitted. 7 days. And for now, if I chose a room type which is out of 1 to 4, it'll give me an error, which is room type does not exist, and I have to re-enter until I've entered something which is within 1 to 4. So for example, if I input 7, it'll still run this error, and if I input 1, it'll go on to the next thing. For the food rate, it's also the same. So it'll be like this. So surgery is also the same. Types of medication. For the types of medication, we can choose how many we want. So it's up to us. But I'll just choose 2. Types of services is also up to us. So I'll choose 3. Alright, so now we're done with inputting all the basic info. This will be something like the receipt, which the admin will see. So for here, we have the patient number 1, patient number 2, and all their information. And below here, we have the total bill for them, which is already added up all of their from hospital stay, food rates, surgery rate, medication rate to service rates. And for patient 2, it's the same as well. And then for average hospital stay, we have added up the number of stays for both of these patients, and divide by the number of patients. So it'll be 5 days. And total charges for each category, it's listed here already. And total charges for all patients, which is we have added up all of the charges for both of these patients. So for this amount plus this amount, so this will be the total charge for the patients. And we have also compared the highest and lowest bill for the patients, and this is their name, and we have their amount to let them refer back. So yep, this is I think the end for our session.